Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Greg's List Live. We're here for our second broadcast. Fortunately, we weren't shut down by the FCC. I think you actually have to have more than 12 viewers to even get on their radar. But at any rate, we're back again for our second show. The first one, I've gotten pretty good feedback from it. Last count, I had 60 views on it from YouTube. And I promise I don't check that every 10 minutes. Oh, 61. I'm just kidding. I check it every 30 minutes or so. But anyway, we're back again. Yesterday you were introduced to the Greg American panel, and they're back with us again today. I don't really have to reintroduce them, though, because that took up like 4 minutes of time yesterday, and I do try to keep these short so you don't get bored of me. Anyway, on Tuesday, I heard the State of the Union address was on. I tried to find it, but on all the major networks, all they had was like a snake oil infomercial. So I wasn't able to watch it live. Luckily, I had a lot of feedback from the Facebook Nation, so I kind of know what was going on. And I don't really have a response to it, but I have a response to the response, if that makes any sense. Most of you guys probably saw the GOP response from Paul Ryan, and then the Tea Party had a response from Michelle Bachmann, and then the next day everybody and their brother had a response to the State of the Union. And I don't know, what did you think about that, Buddha? You know, I mean, with all the massive amount of responses, does everybody have an opinion on this thing? Well, you know what, I'll tell you what, buddy, there was about 1 million first responders to that train wreck of an event, and I thought Ronald Reagan was going to have a response via Ouija board, or maybe kind of like get a medium like Whoopi Goldberg in that movie Ghost. But I didn't see that happening. But I mean, it was just way out of control, way too many responses for it. And I got to agree with you there, Buddha. That I mean, everybody had an opinion on it, and Paul Ryan seemed fairly mundane, the response. He did quote scripture in the first 2 minutes. In a nation that's become uberly politically correct, I did admire his courage on that. And then Michelle Bachmann, even though she was looking at the wrong camera, an event that I do a lot here because I'm not a real professional. I know I fooled everybody. She looked at the wrong camera a couple times, but her use of visual aids I thought was especially impressive. But at any rate, enough on that topic for right now. I wanted to also talk about, it's been a really rough week for Chicagoans. First, the Bears lost on Sunday to the Packers in the NFC Championship game. And then on Monday, it looked like there was a little bit of hope as former White House Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel has moved back to Chicago. Notice I said moved back to Chicago because he hasn't lived there for the past 2 years. And he's running for mayor there. He's raised $10 million. He's the front runner for the position, but he had fallen. He was being taken off the ballot by a 2-to-1 vote on the appellate court because Chicago has this crazy rule that you actually have to live there the previous year before you run for mayor. I know it's wild, but and Rahm had been stinking up the halls of D.C., or as I like to call it, Deuce Central, for the past couple years, and so for a brief moment in time, it looked like the rule of law was actually going to work in the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. Unfortunately, by Tuesday, the Supreme Court of Illinois agreed to hear his case, and by Thursday, Wrong was back on the ballot. So, yeah, you had a chance, Chicago. You got to smell the crisp air of freedom, and then it was taken from you by, I guess he probably sent some dead fish to the judge or something like that to get back on the ballot. But at any rate, tough week, tough month for Chicagoans. At least you're not under 6 foot of snow like our friends in New York. But anyway, today is January 28th, and it's the 25th anniversary of one of the more tragic events in recent history. The explosion of the Space Shuttle Challenger over the Atlantic Ocean. I posted something earlier today on Facebook. I remember exactly where I was. It was a snow day in Atlanta, and we were off school that day, and it was about 11:30, and we were watching it on TV because there had been a lot of build-up. The first teacher in space was supposed to go on that flight, Krista McCallus. So we had projects at our school, East Cobb Middle School, and I think we'd even tried to get one of our teachers to be able to go on that. Krista McAuliffe won from a pool of 11,000 applicants, and you know, unfortunately, it did explode that day, and I just wanted to take a minute for everybody to reflect on that tragedy. And I wanted to read off the names of everybody that did die. The commander of the Challenger was Commander Francis Dick Scobie. Pilot was Michael J. Smith. Mission specialists were Ronald McNair, Ellison Onizuka, and Judith Resnick. And then the payload specialists were Gregory B. Jarvis and Krista McAuliffe. So we are remembering you on this tragic anniversary. Wanted to that does help me segue into my last point. You know, I did get to see plenty of highlights from the State of the Union. And during the State of the Union address, President Obama mentioned that we had reached our Sputnik moment. I find it detestable the president would channel his inner Soviet and use a reference from the peak of the Soviet Union power without mentioning the American programs like Apollo, Voyager, or the Space Shuttle program that included the ill-fated Challenger mission. Today, on the 25th anniversary of the Challenger explosion that took the lives of 7 Americans, it is important to remember their contributions to the space program that has always been a hallmark of American ingenuity and brilliance. During the 2008 Democratic primary, then-candidate Hillary Clinton famously said, "Shame on you, Barack Obama," at a campaign event. I would like to reiterate her words today. Shame on you, Barack Obama, if indeed that is your real name, for using a foreign reference and failing to mention the specific American response. Where were you 25 years ago when the space shuttle exploded over the Atlantic Ocean? Were you smoking dope with a bunch of your law school buddies? Or maybe on a George Soros-funded junket studying New World Order doctrine? Your mention of a Sputnik moment at a time when you have essentially defunded NASA and changed its mission to Muslim outreach denigrates all who have sacrificed in the name of space exploration. Muslim contributions to space exploration consist of bullets fired into low altitudes from their AK-47s at weddings. Space exploration was one of the industries in which the United States still led the way. Even as recent as 2003, we successfully landed 2 rovers on the surface of Mars, and the data collected from their travels during the next few years on the surface was nothing short of breathtaking. Your zeal to end American exceptionalism in every facet of life both shocks and dismays. But in spite of your plans to expand government, which flies in the face of the November elections, it is we, the people, who will win the future. So there's my little soapbox speech for you. Hopefully I'll be a little bit more smoother with my rants, but we look forward to hearing back from you tomorrow. And join us next time on Greg's List.